So you've worked in the US, but you're not planning to retire there. You'd think getting your retirement money out would be simple, right? Well, it can come with a very, very painful surprise. Today, we're going to break down exactly how to access your US 401k or IRA as a non-resident, and more importantly, how to avoid some really nasty tax traps. Okay, let's get right into it. And the stakes, they really couldn't be higher. This quote says it all. Can you imagine losing nearly half of your hard-earned retirement savings just because you didn't know the rules? It's a devastating financial hit. Our whole goal today is to make sure that does not happen to you. Here's our roadmap for today. We're going to start with a default tax fight. What happens if you do nothing? Then we'll talk about your single most powerful tool to fight it. We'll also expose a hidden trap in your choice of retirement account, show you the exact steps to claim your benefits, and then wrap it all up with a clear action plan. First up, let's get a handle on the baseline. This is what the IRS does automatically if you don't take specific steps to stop it. So who exactly are we talking about here? In the eyes of the IRS, it's a non-resident alien. This is just the official term for anyone who isn't a US citizen and has left the country after their job ended. So you no longer meet the green card or those substantial presence tests. And this is the number that causes all the problems. The default US law requires a mandatory 30% withholding tax on payments made to non-resident aliens. And yep, you guessed it, that absolutely includes money you take out of your 401k or IRA. This is the big financial threat we need to neutralize. So how in the world do we fight that 30%? Well, thankfully, you have a pretty powerful tool on your side. We're calling it your treaty superpower. So what is a tax treaty? Well, you can think of it like a formal agreement between the US and another country. It's designed to stop you from being taxed twice on the same income. But what's crucial for you is that it creates a special set of rules that can actually override the default US tax laws, specifically that nasty 30% rule. And just look at how effective these things can be. For retirement accounts, a lot of treaties will slash the US tax rate all the way down to zero. And they also provide benefits for other investment income. So they really act as a complete override to the standard painful rules. Now, this next point is absolutely crucial, and it's where a lot of people get tripped up. Treaty benefits are tied to your country of tax residency when you take the money out, not your citizenship. So what does that mean? It means if you move to the UK after your US job, you can claim benefits under the US-UK treaty no matter what passport you hold. You might also hear this term saving clause get thrown around. In short, it's a rule that lets the US continue to tax its own citizens, even when they live abroad. The key thing for you to know is that as a non-resident alien, this clause generally doesn't affect you. The treaty benefits we're talking about are pretty much designed specifically for your situation. Okay, let's shift gears to a really critical decision you make while you're still working in the US. One that has absolutely massive effects down the line. This is what we're calling the expat retirement trap. Whoa, okay, this table just lays it all bare. Look at these numbers. You've got two people, same salary, same savings rate, same final account balance. But just because one chose a traditional 401k and the other chose a Roth, there is a $15,000 difference in what they take home. The person with the traditional plan loses over 16 grand to the IRS, while the Roth holder, they lose less than 1,500 bucks. So why the enormous difference? What's going on here? It all comes down to what's considered taxable. With a traditional 401k, you got a tax break on the way in, which means the entire balance, your contributions and the growth, gets taxed on the way out. But with a Roth, you put in after-tax money, so your original contributions are never taxed again by the US. Only the investment growth could possibly be subject to US tax and penalties. And that leads us to this really direct conclusion. For almost anyone on a temporary work assignment in the US who plans on leaving, choosing the Roth 401k option at work is one of the most powerful moves you can make to shield your savings from future US taxes. So you've picked the right account, and now you're living in a country with a tax treaty. How do you actually get that reduced tax rate? Let's walk through the practical step-by-step process. It's really a clear 4-step process. First, you've got to confirm your tax residency. Second, go find the specific treaty text. You can find it right on the IRS website. Third, read the actual articles that apply to pensions so you know exactly what you're entitled to. And finally, you have to proactively file the right paperwork. The benefit isn't automatic, you have to ask for it. And this is the essential paperwork we're talking about. The first one is Form W-8-Bean. You give this to your 401k provider before you take any money out. This is your proof that you're eligible for a lower rate, and it stops them from taking that full 30% right off the top. The second form, 8833, comes later. You'll attach that to your US tax return to officially tell the IRS why you claim the treaty benefit. Okay, we have covered a ton of ground. Let's pull all of this together into a final, clear-cut action plan for you. Here are the 5 most important things to lock in. Number 1, without a treaty, you're looking at a 30% tax hit, period. 2, a treaty can slash that, often all the way to 0. 3, for temporary stays, a Roth 401k is almost always the better choice. 4, eligibility is based on where you're a tax resident, not your passport. And 5, you have to be proactive and file a W-8 to get the benefit right away. And one final point of clarification, just so you know. You might hear people talk about totalization agreements. These are different from tax treaties. They deal specifically with Social Security, basically to make sure you're not paying into 2 different government pension systems at the same time. It's important, but it's a separate issue from what we've covered today. And that brings us to our final and really the most crucial question. It's the one you need to ask yourself after all this. Is your US retirement plan actually set up for your global life? Or is it an accidental and potentially very expensive domestic tax trap just waiting for you? Answering that question now could be one of the most profitable things you do all year.